been through such volatile times, what would you characterise as being the, say, three main threats to Britain right now?
Well, I think we've got the whole cyber issue because we're not in a direct conflict. So let's say our opponents and our enemies can make great trouble through attacking our cyber infrastructure.
And you're most worried about the Russians and the Chinese?
Well, the Russians and the Chinese obviously use that to a significant degree. I mean, if we listen carefully to what, for example, the Director General of the Security Service, and to an extent GCHQ, the Communications Intercept Centre in Cheltenham, have said, I mean, they put China at the top of the list. And I recently had a very interesting conversation with the former head of CIA and head of NSA, General Hayden. And I mean, he basically agreed. He said, China, China, China,
right,
in the medium to longer term. And that's been articulated here nationally in the UK in quite an emphatic fashion. And
has that been heightened by China's circling of Taiwan, or is that just a general, they have the technology at their fingertips with which to use against us?
I think it's more fundamental than that. You know, if you look at the 20th Party Congress, if you look at the results of that, if you look at the documentation, I mean, China is set on a road to attempt to dominate globally by 2149, you know, in halfway through this century. So the idea that, you know, they sit there in a sort of benign state, believing in peaceful coexistence, is actually not. It's rubbish.
Yes.
So China has these ambitions.
So we have the cyber threat.
You have the cyber threat coming from China and from Russia. You have obviously the sort of destabilization that a major war on the European continent and the risks of escalation. So, I mean, that is clearly for the UK in particular, because, you know, we are a significant European power, a very direct threat. We still have the terrorist problem in the background. And I think that also is something we have to worry about, maybe not quite to the same degree.
When you speak of terror, are you talking about Islamic fundamentalism? Are you talking about, because there's been an increased focus on it, far-right extremism? Is there an equivalence there?
Personally, I don't think there is. I think the major threat comes from Islamic fundamentalist terrorism and the degree to which there are organisations, I mean organised terrorist movements. So ISIS is still in existence. There's the remnants, but still potent remnants of Al-Qaeda.
Yes.
OK, there are also the problem of lone wolves, and I think that problem of lone wolf terrorists stretches across right-wing extremism and Islamic fundamentalists. But in terms of conspiratorial organisations that threaten society generally across Western countries, then I think you probably have to say that's primarily an Islamist terrorist threat. And I think